The Linux Foundation KCA exam practice questions with explanations are available in the video for you to study. Which method does Kyverno rely on to describe modifications applied through JSON patches? A. Key value attribute updates. B. Operation entries referring to explicit JSON paths. C. Pattern matching expressions. D. Validation schema templates. The answer is B. JSON patches in Kyverno follow the RFC 6902 operational model, where each change is represented as an instruction referencing a concrete JSON path. This structure allows Kyverno to apply targeted modifications to resource fields without replacing the entire object. Such operations include add, remove, and replace, each requiring a path to identify the exact field being changed. Because this design is deterministic, it integrates well with Kubernetes admission workflows. Therefore, path-based operations are the foundation of Kyverno's JSON patch format. Which Kyverno rule category is specifically responsible for altering existing Kubernetes resource definitions? A. Validation rules. B. Mutation rules. C. Generation rules. D. Annotation rules. The answer is B. Mutation rules in Kyverno are designed to adjust or enhance resource manifests during the admission process. They can update fields, insert missing configuration items, or standardize resource attributes automatically. These rules allow administrators to enforce consistent configuration across workloads. Unlike validation rules, mutation rules actively modify the content rather than checking it. Thus, mutation rules are the mechanism Kyverno uses to alter resource manifests. What value should be configured in validation failure action when a policy must only record violations without blocking requests? A. Enforce. B. Audit. C. Warning. D. Ignore. The answer is B. When set to audit, Kyverno signals that any violation should be logged but not prevent the resource from being admitted. This behavior is useful during policy rollout phases when administrators want visibility without enforcement. The audit mode allows safe testing and refinement of policies. It also ensures compatibility with background scans that collect compliance data. Therefore, the correct non-blocking action is audit. How can a Kyverno policy be configured so that it actively rejects non-compliant resources? A. Enable strict mode inside the policy metadata. B. Adjust the policy through a Kubernetes webhook configuration. C. Set validation failure action to enforce. D. Wrap the policy into a config map object. The answer is C. The enforce setting enables Kyverno's admission controller to block requests that fail validation. When this value is assigned to validation failure action, the policy becomes authoritative rather than advisory. This approach ensures that only compliant resources proceed through the admission pipeline. It provides stronger governance and aligns with security-focused environments. Thus, enabling enforcement via validation failure action is the key step to blocking violations. What is the recommended method for upgrading an existing Kyverno deployment in a Kubernetes cluster? A. Remove all Kyverno components and reinstall the newest build. B. Manually edit Kyverno resources with kubectl. C. Perform a Helm upgrade using the appropriate chart version. D. Reboot the Kubernetes API server after uploading new images. The answer is C. Kyverno supports Helm as its primary installation and upgrade mechanism. Using Helm upgrade ensures that changes are applied consistently across CRDs, deployments, and configuration values. Helm also handles version tracking and rollback features, reducing operational risk. Manual or destructive approaches disrupt running workloads and are not recommended. Therefore, Helm is the preferred and streamlined upgrade path for Kyverno. Which Kubernetes command allows an administrator to inspect details of a pod's container images? A. kubectl describe pod. B. kubectl list images. C. kubectl get pods OYAML. D. kubectl inspect image. The answer is A. The kubectl describe pod command provides a full breakdown of a pod's configuration, including each container's image reference. This output includes registry information, image tags, and runtime details. It is commonly used for troubleshooting or verifying image usage in a cluster. While YAML output also shows image fields, describe is specifically suited for human-readable inspection. Thus, the most appropriate command for image investigation is kubectl describe pod. How does Kyverno determine which Kubernetes resources a given policy should apply to? A. It evaluates only resource names. B. It uses match and exclude criteria within the policy definition. C. It references Helm chart parameters. D. It checks only label selectors across namespaces. The answer is B. Kyverno policies define resource targeting using match and exclude blocks under their rules. These fields accept filters such as kinds, namespaces, label selectors, and other resource attributes. By combining these fields, policies can precisely narrow or broaden their scope. This mechanism ensures predictable policy behavior without modifying cluster-wide configurations. Hence, Kyverno relies on match, exclude rules to determine resource applicability. What conditions must be satisfied for a Kyverno cleanup policy to run? A. A trigger definition along with a corresponding match rule. B. Installation of a Helm chart containing cleanup logic. C. Setting validation failure action to block. D. Enabling autogen for workload controllers. The answer is A. Cleanup policies function by defining triggers, events or timers, and match criteria specifying which resources are eligible for cleanup. These two components must work together to determine when the policy activates and what it applies to. Triggers provide the scheduling or event-based invocation of the cleanup routine. Match blocks ensure that only appropriate resources are targeted. Thus, both trigger and match conditions are required for cleanup execution. Which advantages are provided by Kyverno's resource generation rules? Choose 2. A. Automatically creating required Kubernetes objects. B. Blocking configuration changes made to existing workloads. C. Maintaining additional supporting resources such as config maps. D. Verifying the structural integrity of resource definitions. The answer is A. C. Generation rules enable Kyverno to create or maintain secondary resources automatically when certain conditions are met. This is particularly useful for ensuring that related configuration objects, such as config maps or secrets, always exist. The rules help reduce manual administrative overhead by automating resource creation workflows. They complement validation and mutation rules by extending Kyverno's ability to manage dependent objects. Thus, automatic creation and resource maintenance are key benefits of generation rules. What is the main function of a Kyverno policy report? A. Enforcing rules during the admission process. B. Presenting an overview of resource compliance with applied policies. C. Dynamically generating new Kyverno policies. D. Troubleshooting pod communication and network issues. The answer is B. Policy reports aggregate the outcomes of policy evaluations across cluster resources. They provide visibility into which resources passed or failed specific rules. This helps administrators identify compliance gaps and maintain governance standards. The reports also support audits and long-term tracking of policy health across environments. Consequently, their primary purpose is to summarize compliance results rather than enforce policy logic.